Hello there guys, and welcome to our second video on Nintendo. We're going to be talking Nintendo once again, because E3 2016 has just come and gone. You know, it's probably only a couple weeks after that. And there's another reason I'm making this video right now that we'll get to later. But the first thing I wanted to talk about, the first thing that I put in the thumbnail, is that, you know, since E3 has just come and gone, the Nintendo camp has told us a couple more things about the upcoming codename NX, you know, their new console. And, you know, aside from what we've seen, we really don't know that much about it. We know that it's gonna support physical media because of the obsolete GameStop still sending out reports. We know that it might be the first console to try a connected, portable, and physical console concept type deal. It's gonna have that controller that has, you know, the screen in the controller like the Wii U, except, you know, even more so. They patented that shit, and, you know, that was probably months ago. But the one thing that I want to talk about is a couple things we heard about it from, you know, Nintendo's president at E3. When the president of Nintendo came out and did an interview with with one of the big range news guys, they came out and said that they're going to be doing with the NX, they're going to be trying to focus on the games. You know, they're going to be trying to do a focus on the games, making them fun, making them great again, making them, you know, everything that they should be for, you know, a AAA first-party IP developer that Nintendo is. Now, that would be fine. That would be perfectly fine, and it would get everyone excited for if, from what we've seen at E3, they had something to show for themselves. If they had something to show. The problem is that this is the same exact shit that they said they were going to be doing for the Wii U, and that was a colossal failure. Like, out of the release schedule, when the Wii U was initially released, it had some third-party support. I mean, it came with a port of Assassin's Creed 3. It came with a port of one of the Arkham games. It came with the release schedule day one was crazy big. I mean, really, it just most of it was bullshit, you know. It's the usual movie tie-ins and cheap first-day stuff that they need to you know, wrap up the numbers. And the only big game that they had come out at that point was the, you know, new Super Mario Bros. X, Y, and Z platformer that came out. I don't even remember if the Luigi U tag-on was even put there. Look, here's my issue with the NX as it stands. Nintendo's president saying that they're going to be doing a focus on the games is going to be a bad thing. The first problem is that, you know, as we've seen in the past, they have huge problems putting together a competent release schedule in the wake of what Microsoft and Sony does. You know, they have the third party, they have occasional first party stuff. I mean, that's what's keeping the Xbone around, you know, the Tomb Raiders, the Halos, the Call of Duties. Well, Call of Duty isn't first party IP, but, you know, it's hard to get the Xbox name away from Call of Duty, even as much as Sony has tried to. I mean, you're still going to have a big association between the two. You know, that's what's keeping the Xbone afloat. Sony has shown that it has a focus on the indies. Microsoft has gotten on that pony as well in the last year. Nintendo doesn't have that. Nintendo has not shown that it's going to have a strong third-party support system. It's not going to have those releases between, you know, months at a time, between those month blocks. You know, those big third-party games like Uncharted, or possibly another Infamous game, or even God of War. You know, it doesn't have those games. You know, you buy a Nintendo game for the kiddie games. You know, if you want to play these more adult-oriented shooters and hack and slashes and all this other stuff, if you want to play, you know, the best indie games and not have to deal with the PC stuff that you have to be a PC gamer, you're going to buy a PlayStation 4. You're going to buy an Xbox One. You know, the only reason you're going to be buying the NX, from what we've seen, if nothing changes in the year between now, or maybe the 2 years between now and when it comes out, I'm going to heavily doubt that it's going to come out in 2018. I mean, that is ridiculous, because Nintendo's hurting. I mean, they're still releasing stuff for the Wii U, obviously. I mean, they've shown that at E3. I mean, they're going to be having Wii U releases until 2017. They're planning a Wii U release for Breath of the Wild, which is, you know, the big the big name game that everyone, drooled over at E3. But they don't have those third parties. They don't have those games that justify the console. I mean, look what happened with the Wii U. I mean, I bought a Wii U right out of the gate, and that was one of the worst mistakes I've ever made. I mean, I don't think I bought a game for the Wii U for a year between when I bought it back in 2013, I think, and, when I actually got New Super Mario Bros. U or Super Mario 3D Land or whatever the hell it was just, a token Mario game. The reason, that I got a Wii U in the first place was I wanted to play the next Smash Brothers. It was the same thing with the Wii. And what Nintendo needs to learn, at least from the Wii, is that even though the Wii came out and it was flooded with shovelware garbage, because, the Wii was the game system everybody had, and developers were trying to appeal to that. That's the attitude you need to come in with the NX. That's what it's going to make it successful. Yeah, you don't need it to have, the pioneering shit. This doesn't need to spearhead your console, but you need something in between those big releases. Between Mario Party or the next Mario game, or between Breath of the Wild and whatever's coming next, Metroid, F-Zero, whatever the fuck they're going to be bringing out for it. You need something in between there. I know I'm going on a bit, but that's the problem with Nintendo. They don't see the point of having third party. Why did nobody buy the Wii U? Because it was flooded with only first party IPs, possibly some shitty ports, and mostly movie tie-ins. It didn't have that good competitive marketplace of good content. Yeah, the Nintendo games that came out were usually really good, but that's the problem. You usually have 6 months to a year between these big releases, between Star Fox Zero or the next Mario game or the next Mario Galaxy or, whatever. And that's the problem. Nintendo is not learning from its mistakes, and if it does the same thing where it has no indies and has no third parties with the NX, and it doesn't turn out to be the biggest innovator in the room, Nintendo's going to be pulling a fucking Sega. And that's the short end of the stick here. You cannot afford to lose money on the NX. You need to have something that people are going to goddamn buy. And that's the short end of the stick of it. This is crunch time for fucking Nintendo. They have no other chances. I mean, sure, they might, pull a reasonable profit out of the NX. But, what happens with the next generation? What happens with their next product? What happens next? If it's middling for the NX, who the fuck's gonna care? Who the fuck's gonna care about codename whatever the fuck after NX when the PlayStation 5 is kicking ass? And that's the problem. But, the other problem with Nintendo, the other problem that they're facing, and one of the reasons that they're still getting shit, and deservedly so, is their relationship with the internet. Nintendo's relationship with the internet is really strange, mostly because from the fact that Nintendo ignored what the internet could do for video games for such a long time. I mean, they didn't even get into multiplayer online stuff until into the Wii era. And even then, getting into the Wii, I'm forgetting what it's called, the Wii Connection service was, annoying. It didn't work very well. They had very big problems with their servers. I remember the one time I tried playing Brawl online, it stuttered and it was completely shithouse, and, the people just, and, in typical multiplayer fashion, you get ganged up by everybody because they're part of a team. And it's like, who the fuck's going to be playing this? I know that there were some games that people went apeshit for. I know that one of the Monster Hunter games, which I still don't understand why it still has a huge cult following. Now, people kicked ass on those servers. But for what the Wii did, the multiplayer was barely supported, the servers weren't that good, and, it wasn't a driving feature of the fucking console. And when the Wii U came out, they started to embrace that. They started to show, they could do stuff with the internet. We're going to be starting a community. We're going to have these online features. It's going to be a whole big thing. And, it was. It changed the paradigm of Nintendo, even though, it's going to be a whole big feature. And it totally changed the paradigm of Nintendo, even though I wish that they didn't. Some of the Street Pass content was complete bullshit. And, you're only going to be able to use the Street Pass content in very rare instances. This is why the 3DS looks like to me that, you're still marketing portables for 12-year-olds. You know, you're still marketing for the people in middle school where, you know, people are going to always have 3DSs. They're going to be able to get those Street Pass hits because, you know, everybody fucking has one. And, you know, for the 20, 30-year-olds, because they still play games, you know, they still care about Nintendo. And if you want to call them a fanboy or not, you know, that's fine, but they still have 3DSs. Do you think they're going to get in that content? Do you think they're able to... You think they're going to be able to do the Dark Link boss fight from A Link Between Worlds? You think that's going to happen? No fucking way. You're putting out content for someone that has to jump through ridiculous hoops to even get at it. And while I think that was, you know, innovative, you know, most of it was just annoying beyond just the Street Pass stuff. You know, there's, you know, the Miiverse crap, you know, in Yoshi's Woolly World, in, you know, New Super Mario Bros. U, all you're getting all the damn time is people just scrawling on the Wii U tablet and saying douchey things like, you know, this is the greatest game ever, or, you know, you're an idiot, why can't you find this thing, and you're like, help, I can't figure out this shit, and, you know, basically, Nintendo doesn't know what it's doing with the internet, and one of the biggest reasons that shows that they have no idea how the internet is actually supposed to work is the Nintendo Creator Program. Now, I know that for some reason people do not talk about the Nintendo Creator Program. I have no idea why. Because Nintendo did it, they get a big slide. I mean, think about it. If Ubisoft came down and said that nobody can use our stuff without paying us a little bit of money, and we're just going to block all monetization bump from everybody because, you know, we just don't get what's happening. We don't want this out of control community. We don't want the have the not power. If Ubisoft did that, you know, there are people would be still talking about the damn shit. But no, Nintendo got a slide on it, and I have no idea why. You know, who the fuck wants to jump through hoops and join a program where they are guaranteed to lose money on the fucking videos, not be able to make much of a profit, simply because the developer and publisher is telling them they can't? You know, the fucking fascist dictatorship of the Let's Play community is completely ridiculous and completely counter to what the fuck the Let's Play system is supposed to do for your fucking game. It's supposed to get out in front of people to help build the hype, to help build conversation, to help build the fucking market. It's doing your advertising for you, and it's showing that you have a fan base who goddamn cares. You are stomping on that. Who the fuck is gonna play Mario Party Star Rush, the Paper Mario Color Splash? Who the hell is gonna get a 3DS capture card or film it shittily using just an external camera? Who the hell is gonna do that when they automatically have to lose money or they face all this goddamn shit from Nintendo? Nintendo has no idea how the internet works, and he has no idea how to make it pro-consumer. It's completely anti-consumer, and they've been losing fucking hype and potential hand over fist because of that. You know, people are not, these professional people, these professionals on YouTube are not gonna be dealing with fucking Nintendo's Creator Program. I know that people are on the program. I mean, they still want to make some money, and that's fine, you know, for them. They want to make some profit, and that's not a horrible idea. But for your average person, for me, for the low subscriber counts, they aren't going to do that. You know, you're going to be relying on a few people to get it right. You're not going to be relying on that fact that there's going to be a large span. Like, imagine Metroid Prime. You know, everybody's done Let's Plays of that. There's footage all over the goddamn place, and it all looks good because Metroid Prime is good. If you only have 5 videos of your next Mario Party game coming out, who the fuck cares? Who the fuck cares? Not everyone is subscribed to everybody. No one's subscribed to fucking everybody. You know, you're gonna be losing. You're gonna be losing fans. You're gonna be losing, you know, you should be losing fucking goodwill on this all the goddamn time. It should be continuing to be a thing in the back of people's minds. You know what the fucking dumb thing is? The thing that made me want to make this rant video in the first place is the stupid goddamn fucking fact that every time I use one of my intros, I get shit from Nintendo from one of their stupid copy claim bots that I lose monetization on it. I can't monetize the video because I used 30 seconds of a fucking song from Super Mario 3D World that was amazing, and it was jazzy, and I loved it, and I can't fucking monetize that video. I'm never going to be able to monetize the video, so why do you care? No, it's just because, you know, this robot, this stupid algorithm sent back to Nintendo saying, hey, there's this tiny video with 3 views on it that you can make money off of, potentially. So why don't we just stomp on that creativity because we say we can, and they use the requisite amount of fucking footage. It's not even footage, it's a song. And I know that you created the goddamn song, but why 30 seconds of it? I mean, there's people out there who make 30-minute extensions of fucking Nintendo shit, and they can't monetize it. They can't make money off of that. If they can, that's bullshit. Because I'm not slagging them off, you know, I think they do really good work. I mean, I use what they do too, but that is less of an artistic use of their music than what I do. And that's saying something from what I actually do. It's fucking shitty. And getting back to the actual reason why I made this video, the actual reason is that the series I plan to replace God of War with, surprise, surprise, it's a Nintendo series, and it's gonna be a long-running one, and I'm gonna be so pissed off and tired and fucking rooted out of my shit because I know that every time I put a goddamn video up from this fucking series, it's going to be copyright claimed, and I'm just going to get constant reminders of how shitty Nintendo is. Nintendo, for the love of God, I know that your relationship with, you know, the innovations of the actual industry around you, you know, sometimes are good. The biggest good reason why you came to shit late is your DLC practices. You haven't realized yet that you can be completely shitty with your DLC simply because you haven't done DLC since this generation. You've just done it. You've just done it with even a couple of games. It's Mario Kart 8, Smash Brothers, and Hyrule Warriors. They're amazing DLC experiences. But your fucking internet is so completely backwards because you are 10 years behind the gate. You have no experience with dealing with your internet, and it fucking shows with your damn creator program, which, you know, just, it's basically you saying, hey, deal with us, or, you know, you're shit out of luck, buddy. And do you think people are even going to go through that? I mean, you know, a ton of fucking YouTubers who, you know, maybe have 20,000 or 30,000 subscribers. You know, this isn't the biggest part of their fucking deal. Your relationship with the internet is toxic, completely counter to anything you want, and shutting out basically all creativity because you can't deal with it. You know, this is exactly going back to months ago when fucking the Angry Joe show got angry at Nintendo because he couldn't monetize his Mario Party 10 footage. I mean, that was an asshole move. He shouldn't think that he has any sort of, you know, special permissions just because he has 10 million subscribers. He doesn't get that because he doesn't deserve that. He doesn't make you fucking special because you're on the top of the fucking heap. You still have to deal with goddamn Nintendo. But, you know, after that, do you think he's going to be doing the next Paper Mario, the next Mario platformer, the next Samus, the next Zelda? I mean, I know it's Metroid. I'm going back on that. Do you think people are even going to care? And it's because you're fascist and a dictator of your own fucking content is the reason why you're so goddamn shitty with your online practices. You know, get your head out of your goddamn asses, Nintendo, and that's your fucking problem. You refuse to fucking change. You think that the status quo is the greatest place you can possibly be, even when it's obviously not, when you can even use the math to prove it wrong. You need to change your goddamn policies about the NX, and at the same time, get rid of the Nintendo Creator Program. Simply and fucking completely. Companies and indie developers prove all the goddamn time how YouTube can be a bastion for fucking profit. And it doesn't cost them fucking anything. It costs them looking the other way, ignoring it, letting it do its own thing, because it's been doing its own thing for fucking years. You know, YouTube is that old. You know, we've seen what it can do. So scrap that program at the same time you release the NX and bring out a plan for third-party developers. Even if you don't do that, even if you make them deal with the bullshit, bring in the fucking indies. Bring in the fucking indies, because, you know, the famous fucking indies are at least going to give you that, you know, 1 month break in between everything, and it's going to give you a chance to fucking make money on it. If you don't make money on this, Nintendo, give up, okay? You do the games, you don't do the consoles right. If they failed the NX, why the fuck should I buy the next one? Why the fuck should anybody buy it? Why the fuck should anyone buy it and then can't upload the footage from it? And, you know, maybe they added a share button, you still can't upload the footage from it, and you lose money because of the creator program. You know, these are questions that you need to fucking ask yourself, Nintendo, because you were at the top of the heap once, and just years have been fucking declining. Bam, 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 and now you're at the low end, and you aren't changing your minds. This isn't even groupthink. This is you being a bunch of fucking idiots. And that's why I talk negatively about you, Nintendo, because I want you to get better. Because I want you to be, you know, back in some sort of respectability alongside Microsoft and alongside Sony, because you had that at one point. You had respectability at one point, and you just lost it. You just lost it, which is why you had to restructure your corporate structure, which is why you had to oust some executives. And the reason why that, even with all the changes, you still haven't changed the ideal that you're going for. You're still going to focus on the games, which means you're going to be focusing on first party and not bothering to have a release schedule. As for me, as much as people may disagree with this fact, I do not believe that you have a secret fucking backlog of games coming out for the NX that no one knows about. The only thing that you have that could be from 2018 beyond is this vague idea that you're coming out with an innovative Mario product. Which, then again, you know, most people are gonna fucking shit all over because you haven't shown innovation with Mario in such a fucking long time. So, anyway, that's what I wanted to say about Nintendo. Thanks for going with me on this. And as always, I wish you all out there a victory for gamers, because you damn well deserve it. See you next time.